Joining me as always, the ever upbeat, positive Dr. Orphe Divounguy. He's a PhD. He's an economist and an all-around good guy. And he's dressed like I don't know. I think he's getting into this Southeastern living. You know, you look like you're ready to go from here over maybe to the gun club or something like that.
I don't know about that. Maybe fishing. You know?
Fishing. Well,
maybe fishing.
No, I guess you could do that. So every Monday in the Center Square, Orphe publishes a column under the Everyday Economics tag, where he looks at the things that are coming up in the week ahead to kind of give everybody an idea. We're normally doing this talking about this on Mondays after he's written his column. He hasn't written his column yet. Both Orphe and I have travel coming up this week, so we're just trying to get a little bit ahead of the game. What's on the docket for next week?
I think we're going to get a couple of housing reports. So you're going to have existing home sales. You're going to have new home sales. And of course, Chair Powell speaking at a banking conference. Is probably going to be, people are going to pay attention. And I think the reason people are going to pay attention is because we are seeing some signs of inflation moving higher. And really, I mean, you know, the price increases as of late are worrying. But they also suggest the Fed was potentially right in the holding before cutting interest rates further. So that's going to be a major topic of conversation. And of course, whether or not we're going to see rate cuts, before the end of this year, right? So now remember the markets were expecting at least one or maybe two, starting at the September meeting. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. And the reason I say I don't know if that's going to happen is because the reality is the labor market was cooling rapidly, but, it's no longer, I mean, it is still slowing, just not slowing as fast. And so it's showing some signs of resilience. So if you have some, you know, you have less cooling in the labor market and maybe price is rising faster, then at the Fed, you're thinking, okay, maybe we just continue to hold, right? And so, so that's what I expect to see there.
Could I ask you a question about that? I mean, and obviously everybody cares about what Jerome Powell has to say. And I mean, he's had another interesting week where, he was, obviously on President Trump's mind, was referenced, several times. There was even a sort of a rumor that was flying around DC, maybe based on a Trump tweet, I think or a post on X or True Social or wherever the president likes to post that had Jerome Powell looking like he may be fired. The market reacted sharply to that. And then when the president came back at the end of the day and said, oh, no, I'm not doing that, the market completely pivoted and went in the rest, in the other direction, and it wound up being actually a positive day on Wall Street. What do you expect Jerome Powell to say, not necessarily about that, but about what do you think his take is going to be on the state of the economy? And then beyond that, could you talk a little bit about what you've seen in the dot plots recently from the other?
The bottom line is the Fed's doing a good job. The Fed's doing a good job.
You think Powell's going to come out and defend his work? Or does he not feel like he has to defend his work?
No, I don't think so. I think, I think he's going to talk like a policymaker. He's going to talk about the economy. He's going to talk about what that means. And that's it. I think they're going to continue to be very cautious. I don't think he's going to trust the president at all. He might be asked, but, who knows? But yeah, I think look, the markets we're closing the week on a high. Stock markets hitting fresh highs, doing well. Because we got, positive news in terms of growth, right? So retail sales still good, right? So all that stuff. So this is positive news. The economy is not, the growth concerns have been alleviated. When you look at, right, initial claims, right, the slowdown, the flow is slowing down, the flow into unemployment is slowing down. That, right, it was continued claims were increasing rapidly. Well, we got a little bit of a slowdown this week. So the economy, decelerating, but not as fast as previously thought. That's good news for the stock market. And so, yeah, I think Fed's doing a good job, man. Yeah. Now, there are concerns. Okay. There are concerns. We got some construction data that came in this morning showing basically construction's pulling back. And we know that, everything around housing has been somewhat sluggish, right? We got some somewhat positive numbers, for the month of June. But it's still a slowdown relative to last year, right? And so sales are bouncing along the bottom, very similar to last year's level. I don't expect a big uptick in, I think we might see a small uptick in existing home sales for the month of, June. That's coming up next week. I think we might see a small uptick in new home sales as well, right? And I say very small. But yeah, relative to last year, we're right around the same numbers. No big jump yet. We think there might be, I think potentially a modest recovery in 2026. But 2025 looks very much similar to what we saw last year. And so that's the story for housing. Builders are pulling back as a result. Right? This kind of the slower than expecting home shopping season, the rise in housing inventory. Builders are pulling back. And I think that's going to affect, right, construction sector employment, which had been, a positive. Well, I think this next jobs report is going to be very interesting. Right? Let's put it this way. Cause if on one hand, initial claims are not rising, right, or dipping for 4 or 5 weeks in a row. But on the other hand, many industries are pulling back on hiring, including construction, even healthcare that had been like a massive tailwind is slowing down. Where are the jobs coming from? So I can't wait to see which industries actually surprise on the upside, for the July jobs report.
Well, we'll get the jobless claims on Thursday. You get new home sales also, on Thursday this week. Those are kind of the two, existing home sales, and new home sales come out Wednesday, Thursday. So it's shaping up to be kind of a week focused
on housing,
on housing. Right. So, well, I'll tell you, I appreciate your time as always.